Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you're watching me from. Excuse me a minute. Let me adjust something here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you're watching me, joining me in this live lecture coming to you from Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. Today's date is Eke Market Day in the first month of the Igbo lunar calendar called Ọnwa Mbụ. The first month of the Igbo lunar calendar actually started yesterday, and it is called Ọnwa Mbụ. Ọnwa nke izizi. And today's date in the Roman Catholic calendar is 2/18, that February 18, 2025. And remember, at Nkolo Mahadum, we always advise you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call Akonuche in Igbo language. And we have also postulated, maintained that since other national universities, European, Arab, Asian universities, and other universities belonging to other cultures present their information to benefit them, the same way we at Nkolo Mahadum also packages our lectures for the benefit of the Igbo people, the Biafran people, the African continent, and therefore we are advising you to please join and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and other social media platforms. And most importantly, please invite your family, your friends, your children. And if you miss any of our lectures, please go back to that lecture and other lectures we have delivered in the past. All the informations we have presented in those lectures are what you need to know. They are the practicalities, the realities of the life we live on this earth. And the title of today's lecture is Exclusion of the South East in Nigerian Budgets have proved Mazi Nnamdi Kanu right, because it leads to disease, poverty, unemployment, insecurity, injustice for our people. And when it is affecting our people, it is also affecting people of Africa. The title of our lecture today is that the exclusion of Southeast in Southeastern Nigeria in Nigerian budgets proves that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is right in his fight for justice. Because that is why you have disease, poverty, unemployment, and insecurity, and the migration of our people out of our land. We will give you just a few examples of the recent events that have occurred that have shown you that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is right in his fight for justice for his people. For example, in the year 2020, members of the Southeast Caucus in the National Assembly, led by Senate Minority Leader Naya Abaribe, met with both chambers of the National Assembly to protest against non-inclusion of the Southeast amongst the beneficiaries of $22.7 billion loan from China. And this happened around March 2020. This was carried by Punch newspaper. That in the year 2020, there was a loan that Nigeria was getting from China in the amount of 22.7 billion. And the Southeast was excluded from the projects, from the area that will benefit from that loan. Also, the exclusion of the Southeast from the nation's high-pressure gas pipeline infrastructure. There's a national gas line pipeline infrastructure being built by Nigeria, and the Southeast was excluded from that. That is why that exclusion has raised significant concerns among stakeholders, including Senator Victor Ume. That means that the Southeast was excluded from the nation's high-pressure gas pipeline, the pipeline that is needed for development of industries, for people to use, we were excluded from that pressure gas pipeline infrastructure that was being proposed to be built in Nigeria. And this was carried by Prime Business Africa on January 19, 2025. Also, according to the Channel Television, February 16, 2025, it is unacceptable to neglect Eastern Rail, but to go ahead and build Kanu to Niger Republic and others, as stated by Victor Ume. Again, it was Senator Victor Ume again here, saying that it is unacceptable to exclude, to neglect, to remove Eastern Rail Line, the rail lines being designed for Nigeria. The Eastern Rail Line was excluded, the one that will benefit the Southeast, but they were building the one from Kanu to Niger Republic. And then a few days ago, in the National Assembly, in the national budget of 2025, one of the senators from the Eastern region was shouting that in item 28.1, that the light rail project for Kanu to Ogun and to Lagos was the only one in that budget, again, excluding the Southeast and other zones from that national light rail project. So what are you going to call this? That when people in the same geographical entity, in the same country, sat down to design where to allocate the projects, that the Southeast, the Eastern region, is consistently eliminated, is consistently excluded. Can you believe that? It's unbelievable. But that was what has been going on That was why you have other marginalizations, other exclusions, like no seaports in the eastern region of Nigeria, no international airports, no federal roads and other federal infrastructures in the eastern region. That has led to what we are talking about: disease, poverty, unemployment, insecurity in our land. And that's what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had been fighting for. He's been fighting for all this injustice on our people. And therefore, we at Nkola Mahadum Wisdom University is calling on all well-meaning Africans to rise up and support the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because what he is fighting for still goes on in front of our faces. What he is fighting for is still going on in our eyes. Which is injustice for the eastern region, while other regions are benefiting from different kinds of projects in Nigeria. And because we say we're going to be keeping things short, the title of our today's lecture is that the exclusion of the Southeast in Nigeria, in Nigerian budgets, proves that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is right for fighting for justice for everybody. He's right, and therefore should be unconditionally released from DSS custody. We have given you some examples that in the year 2020, members of the Southeast Caucus, this is just the most recent one, there are others. Members of the Southeast Caucus in the National Assembly, led by Senate Minority Leader Naya Abaribe, met with the both chambers of the National Assembly to protest against non-inclusion of the Southeast amongst the beneficiaries of the $22.7 billion loan from China. These loans are being secured with our oil and gas. The oil and gas in Eastern region is used as collateral for these loans, and yet you are not included to receive any project. You cannot receive any benefit from that money, even though you are the one paying for it. Meanwhile, the gold in Zamfara belongs to Zamfara, and other mineral resources, other areas belong to their states. Isn't that injustice? And secondly, in the high pressure gas pipeline infrastructure, the Southeast was again excluded from the nation's high pressure gas pipeline infrastructure. And it raised significant concern among stakeholders, including we at Nkola Mahadum Wisdom University. However, it was Senator Victor Ume who raised the objection, who raised the awareness. And you know, majority of the gas being explored in Nigeria is coming from Ebema. It's coming from our land. And yet, we are not included as beneficiaries for the infrastructure, the high pressure gas infrastructure. Also, according to China Television, on February 16, 2025, Victor Ume raised another alarm that it is unacceptable to neglect Eastern Rail while you are building Kanu to Niger Republic and others. Is that fair? Every time exclusion, every time exclusion. And we are in one Nigeria. And then last few days, in the national budget for 2025, the light rail project only ran from Kanu, Ogun to Lagos. Other areas are not included. And mindful of the fact that rail line from Onitsha to Nnewi, or from Onitsha to Enugu, from Onitsha to Awka to Enugu, or from Aba to Owerri and Onitsha, or from Onitsha to Asaba, we give you much economic benefit. In fact, the return on investment on such projects will be very short. And we are neglecting that. So we in Nigeria, we are establishing projects based on ethnicity and not how that project will benefit the economy. We are establishing projects based on tribe and ethnicity instead of the economical impact. Is that how to make decisions? And other marginalizations include lack of seaport. Upon all the waters in our land, there's no seaport where when we import something, that thing should land directly in our land. We don't have no international airports. Somebody cannot fly from London to Owerri or Houston to Enugu or to Anambra. Why not? There's no good federal roads in our land. No big federal presence. Other infrastructures in our land. Those are the marginalizations. Those are the injustices that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for. And therefore, he is right. And therefore, we at Nkolo Mahadum is calling on all Africans, well-meaning Africans, to stand up and support the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because injustice that he's fighting for is still going on even in our own eyes. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining us and have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.